What is good, everybody? Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Ask Juliana, hashtag Ask Juliana. Essentially what that is I open up my inbox to questions from you all and I process them with my team throughout the week and figure out what is a common question. Are there themes here that we can come back and answer the following week? So this past week, what I was getting a sense of and the questions around where I want to be better. I want to make change. I want to be a better mother. I want to be a better daughter. I want to be a better friend. I want to be a better leader. And it just seems like so much. Like I don't even know where to start. Like I don't know how to write that vision, how to make it plain. I don't even have time to figure it out. I just feel overwhelmed, right? And whenever we are overwhelmed like that, whenever we're telling ourselves that narrative or that story over and over and over again, we just shut ourselves down. We shut down all creativity. We shut down our openness to God guiding and establishing our steps, and we stay in that place. So first and foremost, I would say to that, make sure that you are putting self-soothing or self-care practices into your life. Now, what are these? These are not necessarily go getting a new wardrobe, going on a shopping spree, going and getting your nails done. It's not necessarily that. It doesn't even have to be spending money, okay? But it is how you can actually demonstrate some self-compassion. So it could be journaling, it could be breathing exercises, it could be really just soaking in worship music or even literally soaking in the bathtub. It could be taking a nap sometimes, but making sure that you create space to take care of yourself in a healthy way. So as you do those practices, typically what happens when you do that consistently, you have more brain space, you have a greater capacity to process and move through your emotions and actually feel them. And you do get better at analyzing what is up with you. And you also can communicate that better to other people around you. So there's so many benefits of that, but that would be the first thing that I would say. If you're feeling that overwhelmed to the degree that you literally are stuck in inaction, make sure that you are bringing self-soothing behaviors into your life. So just as an example, some of them for me are going for a walk. I do really well when I'm in movement. So getting outside, getting in nature, that is a way that I unwind, particularly if my mind is in overdrive. Prayer is really good because to me, prayer is as simple as having a conversation with God and being able to unpack or having some talk therapy with God, just talking it out is really productive for me, being able to identify how I feel, what it is that I desire, where I'm feeling stuck, like literally processing with God. Super valuable. I do have my own advisory board, if you will, whether it's a spiritual leader, a therapist, a coach. I keep meetings and appointments consistent so that I'm accountable to doing my work and that I have space for that. So I don't feel like I have to live in a lot of heavy stuff every day. I've got space where I'm going to unpack it. I also do love taking baths, just the ability just to sit and be still and just kind of like soak. Very good. But those are some ideas. So develop some self-soothing art therapy and art journaling. That's another thing to explore. So that's what's on my mind for that. Now, next thing that I would talk through for you to help you get super clear are make sure that you're filtering things through what is the most relevant and real to you. And the best way that I can break down what this is giving you the 4 Ps, okay? And I do a deeper YouTube video on this, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you can get the new videos anytime they come out, but then go back and look for Purpose Awakening. That particular video goes to these 4 Ps in a little bit greater depth, but I'm just going to kind of give you a highlight. So when it comes to assessing what's priority and what's not, the 4 Ps are very helpful as a, what's the best way to say this? As a filter. Okay, so the first one is your purpose. This is actually the reason that you're created. It's why you've been put on this earth. So when you think about that, what's beautiful to recognize about this is that you were put on the earth for a purpose, okay? Now, are you living on purpose? Are you living each day, blessed? And like, do you wake up and say, thank you to God for giving you this new day? That alone is a gift. Like, do you live with that kind of gratitude in your heart and appreciation in your heart? Think about that. And are you living on purpose? Are you living each day with intention and creativity and flow and grace and expectancy, right? Think about that, okay? And if you're not good, bad, right, or wrong, but why? What is blocking you from doing that? And is that connected to your purpose, right? Like at the end of your life, do you want to live fully tapped out? Or do you want to have to sit with the reality that there was so much that you were here to do and you didn't tap into it, right? So when you think about that, that helps you perceive each day differently. There's no moment that is taken for granted because you value your time. You value what you're invested in. You don't see anything as random. Okay, you see God orchestrating every detail. So when you think about your purpose, what is the reason that you were made? God made you. He formed you. He created you. He chose you. He put you on the earth for such a time as this. Why might that be? Okay. And then when you think about what your priorities are they connected to that purpose or not? Because that will give you a lot of insight about what needs to shift in your world or where to start. All right. Personality is the next P, and personality is your unique combination of qualities and characteristics that make up your character. They make up as you. They make up you, right? So when you think about that, what characteristics do you know are uniquely you, right? What are you known for? What makes you up? What qualities do you carry? All right. What is really special about you? When people encounter you, they are never going to encounter another you. They will never encounter anybody else like you. So what is it that you bring to the table, so to speak? And also recognize that your personality is something that you can develop. Yes, there's some traits that are very natural in any season for you. They come up, but you can also develop these personality traits that maybe because of different seasons that you were in didn't get developed. So for example, if you grew up in survival mode, you might not have actually tapped into the fullness of your personality, right? Or if you were from a family that was very structured and controlling, maybe that muted your personality a little bit, right? So sometimes we need to intentionally get ourselves out of comfortable environments to start exploring more of our personality, all right? So I'll give you an example. I was somebody that was very adventurous, curious, joyful, and energetic growing up as a kid, right? And then I started muting that and really focusing that into being serious and useful and helpful, right? So I wasn't living with the same sense of adventure and joy. I was living with stress and overwhelm and anxiety, right? Different than my personality. Like I trained myself out of my personality. So I had to unlearn a lot of things that I learned in order to live free. That's an example. So it's not something that's locked in, all right? That can give you an idea too. Like you can ask yourself, for example, when you feel stuck, questions around where do I feel the most sense of freedom? When can I remember a time where I was the most free? What was being expressed in my personality at that time? When have I felt like that? How can I bring some more of that into my life now? Okay, so another example, when I first moved to Texas, I've moved a lot in my life. And when I first moved to Texas, one of the things that I inherently knew to do was find different hobbies and find different things to invest in so that you can develop communities, so you can meet people, so you can try new things, all of that. And Austin is the perfect place for that. So one of the things that I did, like the very first things that I did was get rooted in a DJ program where I could learn how to DJ, which I thought was hilarious. It absolutely was. But that helped me embrace that childlike wonder, that energy, that adventure, and that sense of like fun and life at a time which otherwise could have felt really overwhelming and serious. So that's an example. Next one is potential. And this is your capacity literally to develop something in the future. Okay. So if we are not developing our potential, we will perpetuate patterns. Okay. Patterns from your family of origin, patterns from culture, patterns, whatever you've been exposed to or influenced by, you will perpetuate that if you're not intentional about developing your capacity. So if you're not intentional about thinking what you're thinking about, if you're not intentional about feeling good and actually determining that you are going to do everything in your power to live from alignment every day, determining that you're going to guard your heart and process what's in there, because as a man thinks, in his heart, so is he. So I don't want to keep thinking like what I don't want to be in the world. Right? And I recognize and I understand that that might require me to do some personal development and inner work, right? And developing these things that I'm sharing with you for the benefit of wholeness, for the benefit of freedom, for the benefit of sharing my testimony, for the benefit of training and teaching other people, whatever it is for you. But the capacity to develop something in the future means a couple of things. It means that you've got to be able to see it. You've got to be able to write the vision and make it plain. It means that you've got to break that down and get really clear about, are you aligned with that vision, or who do you need to become to steward that vision and to walk that vision out? It's not just going to arrive in your life. Like there's a role that you play to move that forward and to progress into that, right? And you can either move towards it or away from it every day, okay, depending on how you show up. And then when you have that vision, when you have a sense of where you are, then that can start giving you insight to what are the action steps. So maybe I have a weakness in feeling and processing my pain. So maybe I need to hire a therapist or get in a recovery program and actually heal so that I have the benefit of living from vulnerability and freedom, right? Or having healthy relationships because I'm doing that work, okay? Or maybe you have a desire to be an entrepreneur and that's not in your family line at all. You've never seen anybody do that. And you need some skills, whether that's sales or marketing or branding, or you need some training. And so what are you going to do then to go invest in that training to develop yourself for that next stage in your life? Okay. And then lastly, promises. What I love about the promises of God are that they are your proof, your evidence that you never have to settle. So good. You never have to settle. So they're assurance of something that will happen. Okay. So what you can do with that is identify, and a simple way to do this too, if you're not accustomed to reading your word, you can look in the appendix of the Bible for the word that you want to develop. So if you are constantly living in anxiety, maybe do word studies on trust or on faith. Right? And start standing on those words or start speaking those over your life, declaring those over your life, because you recognize that your words create worlds. What you speak is creating a reality, so that you're then intentional about speaking blessing and not cursing, and keeping your mouth shut if you don't have anything good to say, right? If you're not spreading the good news, then keep your mouth shut, in other words, right? So when you start speaking these promises over your life, God's word does not return void. So you're really enlisting angelic support, heaven sent helpers, so many beautiful things to support your journey, right? Some spirit-led direction into your journey when you're speaking promises over your life and you're determined to stand on them. So the 4 P's are a filter that you can use to assess what area of my life, whether that's a role that you're going to play, whether that's establishing new habits, whether that's stepping into a new season and deciding that that's what you're going to do. You get to decide that. God also changes the time and season. So recognize what season that he has you in, and that will be a benefit also. And if you need help with that, on my website, julianapage.com, there is a devotional. It's the God's Vibes Matter devotional. And that really makes it clear what season that you're in. And it gives you journal prompts as well. So go check that out. All right. So the 4 P's give you a filter to assess, what is my priority right now? What season am I in? What am I led to focus on? Is it in alignment with my purpose? Do I need to develop something in my personality? Is my potential dormant? Right? Like, what do I need to really work on? Is there a promise that I need to stand on? Doing some work to really figure that out, okay? And then from there, here's 3 steps that you can take, okay? Once you get that clarity. Number 1 is decide that it's important for you to feel good. That I'm not going to continue to just sleepwalk through my life. I'm not going to continue to live in a depressed state. I'm not going to continue to blame others for the way that I feel or what's not working in my life. I'm not going to project all of my heaviness. This is what it looks like. I'm not going to project all of this onto other people. I'm actually going to get my life, particularly my inner life, together so that I can be of greater influence, not only to myself, but to other people, because that matters to me. Okay. I have a heart that wants to make a difference in the world, but I have wisdom that tells me unless I address myself and decide that it feels good to feel good and I'm committed to feeling good, right, then I'm not going to really make impactful change in the lives of other people. I'm just going to give them my seriousness or my anxiety or my worry and my fear and not help them, not serve them in any real way in doing that. Okay. So number one is decide that it is valuable and that you are going to feel good. It is good to feel good, and I am going to feel good every day. I'm going to get better at feeling good every day. Number two is open up and get super clear about what does that mean for you? What do you want? When you want to feel good, you get to decide what it is that you want, what will help you feel good, and what is the path of least resistance to feeling good. So for example, ways that I do this, having conversations with God and talking it out or journaling it out, but really getting clear on what it is that I do want. It is so important to be as specific as possible because a lot of times we don't do this work and then we end up serving and working for other people that got this kind of clarity. Okay, so you're either going to get clear on what you want and commit to establishing and creating that in your life, or you're going to help other people get what they want. All right, so it's really important to be selfish in this way, to get clear in this way, and to work with God about what you want, understanding that God gives you desires, right? We do have God dreams and God desires. He's not teasing you with those, and you're allowed to have them. But if you've made up in your mind that you don't get to have them, or that your way to them manifesting in your world is going to be struggle and hard and terrible and right? That will be your experience. Okay, so decide that you want to feel good, open up about what that looks like and get really clear about what it is that you want, and then commit and take action to whatever God reveals to you, to whatever God shows you. Commit to following through and staying consistent with that commitment until God says something new. Okay, so for example, because sometimes you need a practical way to look at this, years ago now, I had been in a really bad relationship, and I recognized that through the grief and the heartbreak that occurred there, that God was using the heartbreak to teach me real love. Okay. Up to that point, I had known conditional love. I had known dysfunctional love. I had known fake love. I had known people pleasing and codependency and trauma bonding and all sorts of things that were not healthy, whole love. Okay. So I was on a journey to then know God and develop a relationship with God so that I could know the author of love and start feeling love and really developing fellowship and relationship with God so that I knew what that felt like experientially, so that I could then identify that in the world and also give that to myself and to other people, okay, without condition. All right? You can't do that without God, okay? So that became something that I was really clear, like, I don't know what real love is. I don't want dysfunctional relationships. I want to create a new legacy in my life just because I haven't seen it, just because I haven't experienced it. It stops with me. I'm going to establish a new legacy. It's going to be a legacy of love. It's going to be a legacy of faith, right? It's going to be a legacy of the good news for sure. But I got some work to do because right now I'm not living in the fullness of that. Okay. And I can't release what I don't have breakthrough in. So I'm going to do the work. And so I was open and willing to go on a journey of understanding what is real love. God, who are you? What is this overwhelming, relentless love that you have for me and that you want me to be living in every day and fully aware of? What is that? And then how can I give that to other people? So that was something that I decided that I wanted. I decided that I was going to open up to real love. Okay. Number two was I wanted to have healthy partnership. I wanted to establish a new legacy. I wanted to have great, life-giving, fulfilling community around me. I wanted to really be able to love people well. That's what I wanted. And I got super clear about that. And so I was open to God showing me how and God developing that in me. And he put me into a recovery program to not only heal my heart, but to lead and to train and to serve other people through this recovery program. Okay. And this was several years of like processing and working it all out. Right. But I took the action. So when he revealed the recovery program to me, moments, days after that revelation, I am seeking out the head pastor of this recovery program. I'm finding ways that I can get rooted and planted in it, and I'm committed for as long as it takes until that grace and that glory lifts. I'm going to stay there and I'm going to do the work. Okay. So that's an example of how these steps sort of unfolded in my life. But for you, decide that you want to feel good. Open up and get granular about what does that look like. Be as specific as possible about what you want, knowing that God wants you to have the fulfillment of your desire more than you do. All right. And then commit and take action or follow through on whatever God shows you. Okay. So if you are stuck and you want to be better, think about what area that is relative to the 4 Ps. Is it connected to your purpose? Is it in your personality and developing a sense of identity again? Is it connected to your potential and really learning and gaining knowledge in something that you don't know? Is it developing your faith? It might be in those areas, and that can help you get a little more out of the box with your current blocked thinking. Now, if it's a role, that's where it helps to get specific. So for example, if you want to be a better parent, what does that mean, right? Like, why do you think it is that you're not a good parent now? Okay, what does it mean to be a good parent? And unpack that with God. What do you want? Okay, and then he might give you some steps. Or if you want to be a better partner, what does that mean? What is an example? What are the qualities? What are the traits of a good partner? What is the partnership that you hope to experience? What is it full of? What are you sowing into it, right? When you start to get that kind of clarity, that's when you start to get the action plan, and God works with you in ordering your steps. And then as the steps are ordered, you take them and you follow through, okay? So you don't have to be stuck. You don't have to be stuck. Stuck is a choice, okay? You can absolutely change. And sometimes it's just waking yourself up from sleep. Sometimes it's just shifting your focus and shifting your interest and shifting what you've been obsessing about by focusing on something different and being committed to feeling good in that way, right? I'm not going to keep focusing on this because it makes me feel this way. And then this is what happens as a result. So instead, I'm going to release that to God and I'm going to focus on this promise, which is going to make me feel expectant and hopeful again and inspired again. And I'm going to take this action. That is available to you. God's love is flowing all the time. Do we always tap into it? No. Can we? Yes. But again, that is a choice that you make. So decide that you want to feel good, that life gets to be good for you. And so it shall be. All right. I hope this message blessed you guys. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. I tend to do videos like this weekly, but I also do videos as inspired. So to be the first to know when they come out, make sure that you subscribe so that you get the notifications. Also, make sure that you like and that you comment and that you show some love and show some support if this is blessing you. It's the best way to get this exposed to other people that need to hear this kind of content. And then also consider copying the link and sharing it with a friend. Listen to this video, totally blew my mind, made me think of you. Let me know what you think. It's so powerful. I can't tell you how many mentors and books and authors and leaders that I've been connected to from somebody caring enough to send me a recommendation. And it brought me healing and inspiration and growth and development. So think about that. And then if you want to connect further, I will put all the details below, but I'll put my website and links to different ways, whether it's my coaching programs or courses that I've created or even reading some of the books. I will put that all below. All right, guys, until next time, stay blessed.